Greetings, welcome to the Hearth. I'm Julia, and today I want to talk about how every single one of us is a sacred mirror. So when we feel inspired, ignited, or even aroused or impressed by someone else, we must look inside and ask ourselves, why do we feel like this? There could be untapped potential, a yearning to be built on and expressed through us. So think about how many times that we've seen an actor or a musician, a public speaker of some kind, and thought, I wish that I had their talent. Well, talent is a muscle that just needs exercising. So feeling a dynamic tension with that person is just showing you a part of yourself that actually is already accessible, and how magnetic and incredible it is to feel that when it's invoked by another human being, right? But that essence, that life force can be felt through you. Well, now, what about if it's someone that you fancy? What about someone that you feel a spark with and an exciting part of you is revealed? Feeling more confident in yourself and more expressive in your interests, which perhaps you have kept close to your chest? We can accidentally get caught up in this enchantment, and we can view ourselves as not being whole and complete on our own, as that part of that being which is expressed comes out more fluently when that particular person is around. But we must remember that each one of us already is whole and complete, and forever learning about ourselves with every chapter. And it can be hard to get swept up in that excitement, experiencing something profound and more connected with somebody else. But, my loves, that aspect of you is already from you, and that person is just a mirror. You can access that anytime that you want, and that person has assisted you with this, to reflect this, to show you of your own wholeness. And you probably would have found that in yourself through some other fashion. So remember that it's not actually them that gave you that excitement or feeling or zest for life, but it is still with gracious gratitude that we thank those people for coming into our lives, no matter how deeply enduring it is or how even fleeting. Everything is sacred and all is beautiful. And it can be hard to let go because us humans are so sentimental. We're sentimental creatures. However, when you can remind yourself of how much energy it takes from you to hold on to something, wouldn't it be better just to let go with gratitude and love, because that actually takes less energy? Now, what about feeling like we are being intimidated or irritated by someone? Stopping to think about how we could possibly be acting like that somewhere in our own life can be quite valuable, as it helps alleviate some tension and bridges an understanding. A common example I'm sure everyone can relate to is having a boss that is very controlling, dismissive, or belligerent, etc. So let's say that this takes up a lot of focus in your mind, and it even distracts you away from your you time. While these are frustrating traits to be objected to for anyone, and it's certainly not justified, it is still good practice to think about how have we exhibited these behaviours in some fashion in our own life. It's the soul's very clever way to get us to pay attention to what things need attending to within. And there are a lot of good practices that have already been established for such a long time with this, though. So through meditation, through Buddhism, through the works of like Carl Jung, learning about projection, there's a myriad of ways which all come back to the same essence, really, which is one of the Hermetic principles of, that is, as above, so below, that old axiom, as within, so without. All of life is a mirror, and whichever way that suits you best through this lesson of self-discovery and trying to navigate yourself in the world with such awe and vigour, stick with that. In saying that, through the astrological lens, what you want to do is look at the 7th house and also the 12th house for this, because the 7th house is directly opposite the 1st house, the ascendant, so which is what sets up our entire chart. So that acts as a direct mirror for the main kinds of, well, not just partners, but just people that seem to come into our lives who are helping reflect that aspect of us that we need to learn to integrate more. But also with the 12th house, because that is the part of the chart where everything that is scary, full of shame, the guilt that we feel, anything that feels quite yuck and we don't want to deal with, it all gets swept up into there. But it doesn't mean that it's gone. It just means we can't see it, and we can feel quite blindsided and even humiliated when those parts of us come back up again. So learning about the rulers of both your 7th and the 12th house, and well, what signs are there, do you have any planets there, figuring that all of that out together. And it will help harbour a more intimate relationship with yourself, that what a lot of people will call the shadow self. So anything, it's not just even like repressed behaviours that you want to like forget about, but it's also untapped potentials. So like what I was saying before, when you can come across someone that's like, oh wow, they're absolutely amazing, I wish I was like that. There's a part of them that is reflecting something in you that you can feel similar with. So say if it's an incredible musician that you absolutely admire, or someone who has this streak of confidence, and perhaps you're not someone that's actually too confident in yourself, but you feel so mesmerised by them, it's because they are helping reflect that part of you there. And so again, like your 12th house, the ruler of that can really help gauge what are those parts that you are just so worried that you'll never get to be able to have, I don't want to say not have control, but be able to naturally have flow out in you. So yes, I hope this is helpful, and it's just a lovely reminder that all of us are mirrors and no one is exempt from projection, but we can definitely do our darn best at being curious and coming into life with an open mind, wanting to learn from each other. And we'll never stop learning, because we're always the student and the teacher.